back at it, and I was starting to think about what Trump said in his rally about I'm going to get killed, and him and the Herschel ballad and Odin hanging from a tree. And I was like, there's no way he said this without it meaning something. So I started to think I needed to do more digging, and I came up with all this information I want to share with you guys. And also, I came up with more information about Odin and how it still ties into our current timeline. So I'm going to do another video on that, but this one I just want to pop out because it's all about Trump and him being the Lion King and the relevancy of what's going on in the sky at the same time. So let's get into it. A lot of my focus, as you all well know, that I like to follow the moon and its placements and the relevancy to mythology with that. And on 9/11, when the towers went down, the moon was very close to this star called Mebsuta. The full moon on the 29th, which is tomorrow, the full moon will be on Mebsuta again, in the exact same place as 9/11. Now, the full moons have names, and this full moon is called the cold moon. Now, Mebusta is an Arabic word, and this part of the sky that had Leo, Cancer, and Gemini, also Arcturus up in Boots, was all this big giant lion that was called Assad. Okay, so this lion, I put it together here. You can see it's all what they called it. And what's interesting is Regulus, which is the, usually on the shoulder of the lion now. It was close to the eyes and the eyelash of the eyes of this big giant lion. It doesn't really look like a lion to me. It looks more like a big crab or a Scorpio or something because it has this claw. The green circle is Gemini, okay? It's Castor and Pollux. And then the yellow, like golden circle I have, that's Cancer. That's ruled by the moon, okay? And this, it's really relevant that they're still using this Arabic name with the star in Gemini. The other thing that's really relevant, if you watched my last video, this red triangle, the spring triangle, is where the Freemasons built Washington underneath. Okay, so Arcturus in Boots is the White House. Spica, which is the little plant in Virgo's left hand, which is myrrh, is actually the Washington Monument, the obelisk, the Tree of Life. With the Nectar of the Gods reflecting pool. And then the Capitol building would be Regulus, okay? So this is very relevant, this whole area in the sky, because they've created the whole Washington underneath this. And it's all Arabic, okay? So we start to see now that the Freemasons are using ancient Arabic astrology. And one of the reasons why I know it's still relevant to today is Al-Assad in Arabic means the lion, right? Which I just showed you. And the president of Syria, they changed their last name, which was originally Welsh, which was Savage, to Al-Assad. Okay, so this, is showing that this lion and this constellation still has huge importance in modern times. And of course, there's an Al-Assad Air Base, which is uniting the U.S. Air Force with the Iraqi armed forces. And of course, Trump went there with Melania on December 26th in 2018. And on November 23rd, 2019, Vice President Mike Pence and his wife Karen visited troops ahead of Thanksgiving. And January 7th, 2020, this year, they came under attack with Iranian ballistic missile attack. Okay, so this, again, just shows the relevance of this name. Now, the star in Gemini, Mebsuta, okay, was also called Melukta, and its roots are Arabic. There we go. It's also called Mekbuda. And what else was it called? It's just, they say that it was a phrase referring to an outstretched paw of the lion, but it's really a claw. It's not a paw. It's like, because they tell you in Arabic that it's a claw, so nice to say it's a paw. It's also, the meaning is a well, so we have the nectar of the gods, again, the well, the fifth star of the well. So the fifth star of the well, we get the pent for Venus, that she's always the queen of heaven for this event, this harvest event. Here again, it's explaining all the different names, even Manita, Mibwala. Okay, so lots of different names. In Chinese, it was Tung Tizing. And then it's explaining here Arcturus, Spica, and Regulus. So this is all tying into this Freemason historic video that I watched, saying that this was all to do how they built Washington. Okay, and we also have, Gemini is one of the four paws. Yeah, it's really a claw. It's not a paw. And this was written in 1889. This is really important. There was 200 Liberty ships made for World War II. One of them was SS Thomas McGinley. Okay, and this ship, it says here, it has the razzle and dazzle on it. It was like a camouflage, okay? But oddly, the ship sailed as USS McLuta. So it's the same as that star until the name was changed back to Thomas McGinley post-war. Okay, so the ship was named, it started off as Thomas, and then it went to this star, and then, it went back again. So funny that they, but it's a Liberty ship. So this is what I'm trying to say. This is a Liberty ship, so it has to do with freedom. So on December 5th, when Trump said, "I'm going to die," at exactly 8:12, the moon was in the mouth of the lion. So in this Arabic constellation, if it was the big giant lion, this would be kind of like the eye of the lion. Okay, and this is called the Lion's Gate, and it's right beside the star Regulus, which is really the alchemy for the meaning Rex, which is when you alchemize Venus and Mercury, basically your heart and your mind, or your left and right brain, whatever, how you ever want to see it as alchemy. It always has to do with the feminine male being alchemized, okay? And this is in the Gospel of Thomas. It talks about the man has to be the woman has to be the man, okay? So this is all in reference to this crown, this Rex crown, the king. It's just interesting that that's where Trump said it. It's all to do with the Lion King. Now, if you look at the date here, this is January 2nd in 2021, that the moon is back there again. So let's keep focus now on January 2nd. Okay, so I went to look on this day, January 2nd, 1941, Llandaff Cathedral in Cardiff, Wales, had a bombing. That all ties back to Wales. And then the Liberty ship program started to be built. Okay, so this is that ship that's named after this star that the moon happens to be on the 29th of December, the full moon, and also where the moon was at 9/11. Okay, so now we're getting a link now to January 2nd in the timelines of history. Also on January 2nd, 1994, Abe Lincoln in Illinois closes at the Beaumont, New York after 40 performances. So they've tied Lincoln to the date as well. And if you'd watched my video about Trump, the last video I did about Trump being the Lion King, and all the references of him being tied to Lincoln and the Sikh Center, get off my neck phrase, that ties to Julius Caesar. So, it's all repeating history over and over and over again. And remember, Trump was at the Georgia rally, so 1788. So 17 is the 17th letter that I can't mention, and 88 is Mercury's orbit, also Trump's gematria of his name. Okay, so this also was January 2nd, the Constitution. Person that got assassin, Martin Luther King, he started to begin the drive to get blacks to be able to vote. January 2nd, 1965. Another famous person that got assassin, 1960, John F. Kennedy announces his candidacy for the U.S. president on January 2nd. January 2nd, 1839, first photo of the moon. 1970, musical Hair starts opening. And then January 2nd, Rothschilds. It's a Broadway play, closes at the Lunt Fontaine Theater in New York City after 505 performances. 55 was part of the 17th letter posts. And this all ties into Hell's Kitchen, Lincoln Tunnel. This is the location of this theater for Broadway. It's very close to Times Square. You can see the little red circle where it is. And the Times Square, I didn't realize, was on the 44th Street and the 17th Avenue. So 17th letter, 44 means kill. Okay, and it's in Times Square. This famous restaurant all ties into this. The Bond 45, being Trump, the 45th president, and James Bond. This all ties into the Hunt for the Red October, which was part of the 17th letter posts, and Sean Connery, okay, being the actor in it. This all ties into it. So, the Hunt for Red October with Sean Connery, this is part of when he died. They said he was a combustible submarine captain. So it instantly made me think of the Moby Dick, where the captain is combustible on this cover of the Moby Dick book that I had in my last video, which I explained all ties into the Mobius strip math, which ties into the Alice universe, and the Cheshire charge, which is how you change your DNA and your protein, which would basically be Ascension. It all ties into 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, with the Captain Nemo and the Nautilus. It all ties in. So if you want to go back, if you haven't watched those videos, go back and watch them because it's really important. Okay, so Sean Connery died on October 31st, 2020, and this is exactly when there was a full moon, and the full moon was named the Hunter's Moon. Hunt for the Red October. So when you Google about Sean Connery's death, it all ties always into him being referred to as a lion, the lion's roar, and his role in James Bond. So they're putting the lion in, tying it to the Hunt for Red October, which ties to being a captain, which ties to the whale, the moon being on the tail of the whale on the winter solstice when the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction was happening. It all ties in. It's always kind of an underlying esoteric knowledge lying through all of it. It's fascinating for me anyhow. Oh, and of course, Sean Connery died on Halloween, October 31st, and the moon was on the eye of the whale, the same as the Moby Dick book cover, with the eye being behind the captain. No coincidences anywhere in this timeline. So the Bond 45 restaurant, its phone number has number 45 in it. I guess the original one in National Harbor at the waterfront, 149. But then they have this other one, you know, close to Hell's Kitchen, and this is on the 46th Avenue in New York. The street number is 221, so we have the year, because they always take the zero out, of 2021. I find it amusing that they have Bond 45 with the Lincoln hat above it. Some of the interesting shows that they had at this theater: the Rothschilds, 1970, Peter Pan, I think 1980, The Wiz, Titanic, of course, The Little Mermaid, The Addams Family, Finding Neverland, Charlie and Chocolate Factory. All these are kind of relevant. I don't want to go into them all. Even the very first one, The Echo ties into, it's Celtic. It goes back to the Hamadryads. Okay, they're tree people, and I will do a video on that. But the name Echo is basically one of the fates. It's one of the three women that the Moria that decides your destiny. Okay, so this is all part of the triple goddess symbolism, which kind of got me all onto this video, because right after I did my little Christmas talk, I came up and started downloading the video, and for some reason, the photograph of myself went on my desktop, and I had no idea why, because I'm not techie, and I'm like, I couldn't get it off. We couldn't figure out how to get it off. Next morning, I'm going, something's going on. I think I need to do more digging. I turn on my computer, And the little sign-in thing is always a nest for me with 3 eggs, which is like the triple goddess. And it was on my right eye. And it was like the whole screen was just my face with this nest on my right eye. And I went, okay, I got to start doing more digging. So anyhow, long story short, I'm here and this is what I came up with. The true and original real live James Bond, which Fleming took all his inspiration from, was this book called, well, then somebody wrote this book called Into the Lion's Mouth about this character that was a spy in the World War II. Okay, so it's called Into the Lion's Mouth, which was what Trump said when the moon was in the lion's mouth, I'm going to die. So what's interesting, it was published on the same day as Trump's birthday. Not the year, but the day, June 14th. I find that a little bit too coincidental. And it kind of looks like a ship or maybe a submarine, and it's got the whirlpool kind of symbol on the cover of the book. And it has the word Patriot on it, so there you go. It's all tied in. And the publishing date to January 2nd comes to 4 years, 6 months, so we get the 46th president, and then we also get 54 months, which we get the 45th president. So depending which timeline you're attached to. And do you think Micheal Flynn is trying to get your attention into this book that was written on Trump's birthday? Or his book, In the Lion's Mouth? Oh, what a coincidence. And it has to have a ship on it as well. Oh, who would have thought? And of course there's a biblical passage. 2 Timothy 4:16, 17. And I was delivered from the lion's mouth. And it's basically, how Jesus stands with you, and that, you'll be fine. I will never, 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 ever, under any conditions, leave you nor forsake you. Okay, so this is all part of it. So it's, it all goes back to prophecy. The other thing here is if you put the number, 2021-102, it pulls up. I was trying to see if there was a zip code or something, but it pulled up this vacation that ties into this island up by Lake Huron, which is like the Jewel Island. It has ancient history all going back to Native Americans, and this is where they buried their chiefs and their it's a very sacred island. You can look into it a little bit more, but I just thought it was fascinating that that number all codes to this magical island. Yeah, so the island's called Mackinac Island, and it's called the Big Turtle. Now, the Big Turtle is very similar to like the Big Bear. It's basically the queen of heaven. It's all symbolic of the harvest. It's all through cultures, but it changes from the bear to the turtle to the queen. But it's always kind of referring to this fertility, the rebirth. And then Donald Trump administration lifts ban on importing lion hunt trophies. So it's always to like he wants the lions killed, is like this referencing to killing the lion now. Donald Trump Jr. bizarrely shares meme of his father as the Tiger King, criminal star Joe Exotic. He puts his face on top of this guy's face, referring to being him as the Lion King. It's everywhere. More symbolism, Trump being the lion, the logo that he used on a video, and then it got considered to be white supremacy. They're just messing with everybody's minds all the time. Vote for courage, lion, and Trump being in the face of the lion. The lion doesn't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. Basically, they're just trying to get everybody on the pillars all the time and division. This is, in the end, the president who roared like a lion will go out with a whimper. The lion sleeps tonight. They're making jokes. And then, of course, we have Barron Trump, who was on the lion with this famous picture. They're saying that they're a dysfunctional family. But this picture is basically Melania as Venus, Trump as being the king, and then his son as Simba, on the, he's the king that will take over. And he is born on the tail of the whale, where the moon was on the winter solstice. So, this is all relevant. It's, if nothing comes of it, I'll just be really shocked. But I just can't see all the symbolism to link in you know, JFK, you know, all these people that get assassinated, you know, and they're, even his own son is pushing the symbolism. Okay, so the Lion King always falls. It goes back to this, the culture of the Mithra. It's the worship of the sun. Okay, and it's the lion. It goes back, way back to the Arabic, you know, Assad. So there you go. That's what I came up with. And if nothing happens on January 2nd, then I have no idea what's going on, basically. So we'll just keep watching and seeing. And if the date is not right, well, the date's not right, and then it's just a big mystery. But it seems like they're pointing to that date. It seems to have lots of relevance. So I will put the next video together, which all ties into more of Odin. Have a huge amount of stuff that I want to share with you guys, and it's not over yet. This whole thing about Odin, it goes on, okay? And I've come up with a date, and I will share that with you in the next couple of days. Bliss to you all.